listening to Live Studios Radio Network. Your boy Jeff Fox on a happy Friday. I promise you, man, that today I was going to deliver the goods, and I'm delivering the goods. I'm going to go to the Bamboo Shack guest line, and we're going to speak to my man, 10-year NBA vet from ESPN. I knew he was a superstar from the beginning, and I'm talking off the court as well as on the court. My man Ryan Hollins from ESPN is in the big house. What up, Ryan? How you doing? Happy Friday.
Oh, man, I appreciate it, brother, man. Thanks for having me. It's been a while in the works, man. I appreciate you having my back, man.
No doubt, man. I remember the first time I met you, it was, that was the NBA Finals a couple of years ago. You were here with First Take. Stephen A. and Skip Bayless was still with you guys back in the day. But I've watched you develop, man. What's that journey been like for you from when you first started to where you are now? Because when we watch you on First Take, you're so polished now.
I think, man, the reality is you find a way how to be yourself on air. And there's just certain things you can't fake. Mm-hmm. And, just when you get your reps and you're you, you're you. Because it's funny, it's like, oh, we're doing this for show, you're doing this. And my close friends all sit back and watch and they laugh because it's like, okay, now everybody sees how you really are. So, you just expose people to who you are. And, as a player, you're really reserved. And you don't necessarily have those opportunities, obviously, because you have a job to do and you don't want to speak out. And now that my career is over, I can be a little more opinionated. And, as you're playing, you're focused on playing and not necessarily giving the other team bulletin board material, as you speak.
To me, you're more flashy off the court because the pink suit on First Take the other day, I mean, bruh, come on.
Hey, you know what? You got to play the game how it's meant to be played. To me, when it comes to media, it's entertainment. It's lively. It's fun. It's not the bland, vanilla kind of, sports that we had in the past. And you get a real opportunity to bring flavor to everything that you do. So, man, I love it, man. I love it, man. And you play the game how it's meant to be played, So I'm enjoying the opportunities there.
Hey, continued success, man. Let's get to the court. Looking at the league so far this year, the big question is the MVP race, man. And I'm looking at James Harden and Giannis. Obviously, is the top two guys. Who's your top three right now for MVP?
Ultimately, I think Giannis can't say that he's not a candidate for what he's done. But when I think of the MVP, I don't like to just think in the now because we don't give this award out, 40 games into the season. Mm-hmm. This is really a full season, and in my mind and everything that I've seen, it's a lifetime achievement. Unless you're a guy that
call from 1786766
literate the entire league, and you would assume Giannis would have to be on that pace, but I feel like guys like Harden. I think he hasn't, obviously, due to injury, you haven't said enough about him, but I think LeBron James has really set himself up for an MVP run. Obviously, the lack of success that the team has had without him, and if he goes off, coming back into the lineup and obviously being in the West. So, in my mind, the race is between James Harden, and Harden has kind of really shown out these last couple of weeks, and, with Chris Paul going down, Gordon going out, no one really expected him to have the success as he is. So when I look at the race, I really, really take a strong look at James Harden.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's my guy. As much as I don't particularly love his game, but I think that guy's been phenomenal this season, especially when you factor in the injuries to some of his teammates. LeBron is somebody that I'm really curious to see how you feel about this. I got into it with Stephen A. a couple of years ago. I tried to convince him that LeBron at least was on Michael Jordan's block as far as being the GOAT. But I've watched LeBron come to Miami, where we are now, and the minute he left the Heat, we went down the tube. Same thing in Cleveland. Now we see the injury in Los Angeles where the Lakers people were starting to think that they might be a potential number two. That question of who is the GOAT, LeBron says it's him. I'm kind of agreeing with the guy. You think that's a bit being too cocky on his end?
No. In my mind, LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. He goes can't do on the floor. And I guess you can make the argument that if Michael played in this era, he would adapt. Well, he doesn't, and he hasn't. So we can't go out and say that. He can score just like Mike, and he can pass like Magic. Now, we can dive into that topic for hours, but people have to realize that LeBron James and the athletes we have today, they give you access that we never had years ago. And if you had a conversation behind closed doors with Michael Jordan, he would tell you when there was a controversy between he and Magic that he was the greatest player of all time. Kobe Bryant, you had a conversation with Kobe, he would tell you, hands down, he's the greatest player of all time without question. So you cannot and should not hold that against LeBron that he absolutely told you how he felt. What else should the guy say? It's only ridiculous that people have a problem with that, and it's incredibly hypocritical, man. And those old guys who are all coming out and saying, you're different from this guy and this guy. Man, they're not too much further beyond that, and they're just really trying to hold on to their golden years. And I get it, man. They're some of the greatest competitors in the world. You don't just turn that off, but you got to be realistic when it's coming to LeBron James. You gotta love this because I don't think there's a point in time where LeBron always. I don't want to say would have had that confidence.
Right. We're talking to Ryan Hollins, I'm sorry, here on the Jeff Fox Show, 2 Live Stews Radio. And of course, Ryan, when I look at the Golden State Warriors, our defending champs, man, I'm not a huge fan anymore. I used to love the Splash Brothers when they were coming up. I don't know what it is about Golden State that it makes me not love them no more. I do like Klay Thompson, but I'm not a huge Steph Curry fan anymore. And then when Durant went there, I didn't like them even more. I liked them even less, rather. I think somebody brought it up the other day. I don't know if it was Walt Frazier or one of the older players that you mentioned. But Durant playing and winning titles in Golden State, do you put an asterisk there?
I don't. I look at, I think I credit LeBron James even more, even though he lost because of what he went against with them and when he came back from 3-1, and then the fact that, okay, you add Kevin Durant, but I think if Kevin Durant doesn't do that, he never gets the respect when we look back 10 years from now as possibly the greatest scorer of all time that we have ever seen. So I think, now you put him in those all-time conversations, and you wouldn't have been able to do that. And I don't think it's not that he didn't do it with Russell Westbrook. I just think he said, man, I'm beating my head against the wall. We're making basketball so difficult on ourselves the way that we're playing the game. And Golden State is playing a thing of beauty. I need to go and win. I need to go and learn, And, possibly he learns that championship pedigree. It's just somewhere else. A ball movement, trusting your teammates, and all the little things that Golden State does to have built their empire.
Right. You so what? But let's keep it going. Again, the Warriors going for 3 out of 4. Ryan, how difficult is this going to be for them? Because we saw the Chicago Bulls. I remember talking to Mike Wilbon about it a couple of years ago when I was at QAM, and the Bulls were going for another title. They were playing in Miami Heat that night. And Steve Kerr, who was still playing back then, talked about the fatigue factor, on that Bulls team. Like, he thought that it would have been extremely difficult if they had came back after the three-peat to do it one more time. How hard is this for Golden State?
Make no mistake, Golden State wins this year. This will be their toughest championship yet. And it won't even be remotely close. This is going to be their toughest test, just by motivation, the rest of the league catching up, fatigue. They've always had to deal with injuries. But Jeff, you know this just as well as I do. The older you get, those injuries are a lot harder to bounce back from. You're actually starting to see that starting to wear on the Warriors. So playing the SAC team. You got to think the injuries they have and everything kind of really against them. And I know they don't have the same depth that they've had in the past. They really will be the greatest team of all time, and I pencil them in now. But I think it just cements it if they can do it, because I definitely don't want to say 5 All-Stars have their back against the wall, but this is a tough one.
Yeah, it really, really is, man. And there's people are throwing out that question about how this team would fare against the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, probably the other greatest team we've seen in recent years. That would be an interesting matchup, but I would lean towards and I know we're talking hypotheticals here, but I would lean towards the Shaq and Kobe Lakers because there's no answer for Shaquille O'Neal on the inside.
Well, you got to understand, pick roll defense all night long, and you take 2 for 3s. And when I even go back to the finals of Cleveland,
right?
Cleveland against Golden State, when Kyrie was there that last year, LeBron scored in the paint at will. LeBron put up astronomical numbers. Now, the problem was it was 2 for 3s. You had Klay Thompson running out shooting fast break 3s, and LeBron getting fast break layups. And that was the difference. And LeBron was literally wore out and saying, I scored the ball every time I touched it. I don't know what to do against these guys. There's nothing that I can actually do. So,
right.
I don't think that team has a chance, because the big fella ain't gonna be running around the paint.
No, he sure wouldn't.
Running guys off the 3-point line. That wasn't realistic, and you don't have that luxury not to do that against them. And you're gonna take Shaquille O'Neal out. Now you got a regular basketball team. No
doubt. My man Ryan Hollins, 10-year NBA vet, here on the Jeff Fox Show, 2livesnewsradio.com. Ryan, I'm looking around the league. I know there's a lot of surprise teams, especially out west. You see the Nuggets up there. I'm intrigued by a team, though, that's near the bottom, the Sacramento Kings, that are hovering around that number 8 spot. I love that backcourt of De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield. How do you feel about that team right there? They kind of remind me of the early days of the Splash Brothers.
Well, De'Aaron's going to have to shoot the 3 a lot better. We can't just go throw it out Splash Brothers. But what you do love about them, I will give you, is you love their pace. They have committed to push pace and tempo, and every team in the beginning of the season comes out and says, man, what are we going to do different? Well, we're going to run. We're going to run, we're going to get up and down, we're going to fast break. Well, Sacramento is actually committed to that through an entire season. So you got to give them the nod as it comes to, hey, they're really, really building something. And they're a team that I think they kind of broke the NBA record against Golden State the other night. Both teams knocked out over 41 3-pointers. Now, they end up losing the game, but if you're a Sacramento Kings fan, you see hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially Buddy Hield, man. He's really, really improved. I think he went from 13 points a game a year ago to right around 20. And he's up there for most improved player, with numbers like that. And he seems to be their go-to guy.
Buddy Hield.
Yeah. From here, my other question, Zion Williamson. And I'm reading a lot of questions that the fans emailed to the show because I told them you were coming on. They want to know, how do you feel about the Cavs potentially tanking for Zion Williamson? And is it fair if Zion somehow ends up in Cleveland, which would be an amazing thing because we're talking about a generational player, I think.
Well, right now the rules are the rules. So they're going to have likely the best shot at being able to get them. You can't guarantee that they're going to have the same success at that as with the first time they did it to get LeBron James. Now, the reality is Zion Williamson is no LeBron James, so let's temper those expectations right now. But what he will be is one of the most exciting players we're going to have in the NBA next year. The guy that big, that fast, with that type of coordination and the things that he could do with the basketball, let alone the way he dunks the ball in a high motor. He's going to be exciting, but he's not look, you got to understand, LeBron James is the greatest player to ever play the game of basketball. And he's a guy that changed he changed the NBA. He didn't just change a team. Mm-hmm. He changed the NBA. So we can't put those expectations on Zion. Nonetheless, one of the most exciting players we're going to have, mark my words, next year.
Absolutely. Love the way the kid throws the ball down, which would lead to my final question for you, Ryan Hollins. which is I've seen them all, man. I've seen Dr. J. I've seen Dominique, Mike, Rain Man. Your top 5 dunkers, if you had to list a top 5, and your top 5 dunkers of all time in game, it doesn't matter, all-star dunk contest or whatever, but your top 5 that you've ever seen do it.
Well, I'm going to throw this out. So a lot of the top 5 dunkers, the guys, if we're just talking dunk, they're going to be excluded because you're not going to give the Gerald Greens of the world credit. You're not going to give a couple of, the kid you got over in Miami right now. You got some explosive dunkers that you have that just didn't have the game. So you're going to have to lean towards, I think Jordan, I don't think Jordan jumped the highest, but Jordan just had a finesse, man, a swagger about the way he threw down that was special.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe, I don't think Kobe was the highest dunker. I think Kobe, Kobe kind of loses all these all-time battles because, he's kind of behind Michael.
Yeah.
Got to acknowledge that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, Dominique was, a legend in itself. He's up there. If we want to talk about talented dunkers,
we didn't even mention Vince Carter yet.
The greatest of all time as we're talking dunks and game, and I've seen Vince Carter. I played against Vince, and I've lost to Vince Carter. I kid you not. There was 1 second on the clock left, and this dude catches the ball off the rim for 1 second and reverses it for the game. So as far as a dunker mixed with game, I'm gonna go with Vince. I'm gonna go with BC. Getting in the dunk contest, overall package, dunking on guys. I'm gonna go with BC. And keep in mind, I played with Blake and DeAndre, man, and those dudes had done some stuff that I've never even seen on the court before, man. So those dudes just themselves are crazy. Ultimately, I think Blake Griffin was a better dunker than Sean Kemp, but Sean Kemp gave me some of my greatest memories. But Blake has had, if you go back and watch a Blake Griffin tape of his dunks and oh my God.
Yes.
It's stuff, man, we've never seen, Jeff.
Yeah, you're right, man. And I keep thinking of the Rain Man dunking on, I think it was Alton Lister, and pointing at him. And,
oh, God.
And then you mentioned Blake. You're right about Blake, man. I wasn't even thinking Blake. I didn't even mention him. Like, there's so many of them. If you want to come up with a top 5, that's a really hard thing to do. But you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with Vince Carter.
Jeff, I'll throw this to you. I feel like Zion is more Sean Kemp than LeBron James.
I agree.
Because he can handle the basketball. He's big. He's got big old mitts, big ankles, big wrists. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's what he'll be.
No doubt. Hey, before we go, man, let everybody know where they can find you. Of course, I know you're doing First Take. You guys do a phenomenal job whenever you come in for the guys. But where else can we find you? You're doing Clippers basketball as well?
Yeah, I'm working alongside the Clippers broadcast this year, so it's been really fun, man. I'm talking about a breath of fresh air. I'm popping in and out of everywhere as far as it comes in the radio, and just really, paying my dues, man. But just loving the process. Probably, get some stuff with NBA TV coming up, and obviously heat up a little more as the season continues to progress.
All right, man. Definitely appreciate the love here. Ryan Collins, everybody. Ryan Hollins. Why do I keep calling you Ryan Collins, man? Ryan Hollins of ESPN here on the Jeff Box Show. Hey, man, we got to do this again, man. Great stuff coming from you. I'm so proud, man. And I don't know why I feel that way, because I met you down here, like I said again, on South Beach, but because I ran into you a couple of times at the arena as well during the Big Three, man. Very proud of the work you're doing. We've seen athletes come from the court to the booth, and some would struggle, but I think you're next in line to be among the great ones, man. Keep it up.
No, man. No, I appreciate it, man. And I think from being in the business, the way I'm going about things is a different road, because I'm not necessarily just getting thrown in the seat. I'm having to work my way up, and I'm not the Hall of Fame guy that just gets the nod, so.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. That's why I try to encourage you, man, because again, I see the potential, man, and I see it coming through. So you're doing a great job. We appreciate you joining us here, and let's do it again, all right?
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, brother. Anytime you let me know.
All right, man. Appreciate you, buddy. Take care.
All right.